Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to USA Global TV, home of Talking Heads. And also welcome to our friends on Business Talk Radio. Whether you are watching or listening, we are so happy to have you here today. Our show is Celebrate Great Britain, Royally Rich Show. It is a true celebration about the great nations of the United States of America and the United Kingdom, our partnership and our interest in celebrating tourism, communities, and businesses. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and the stars of our show are here backstage. Let's bring them out. Helena, Chard, and Ian Pelham Turner. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How is New York?
Everything is wonderful. It's a little dreary here today. How is it there?
It's been sunny. It's been really bright. Actually, it's a little bit grey now, but yeah. It's
quite good. Cold today, I think, as well. You know, I suppose you're going to tell us now you're in 30 degrees of heat, are you?
It's about 70 degrees here, I think, today. Wow. Fahrenheit. So
how you suffer over there.
It will get cold here, but I'm going to head south, so hopefully I'll avoid that.
You're migrating, are you?
Like a snowbird.
When does it get cold? Is in November time?
November, but it is about 10 degrees cooler than it was in the summer because now we're in the fall. And exactly where I am, it'll still stay nice here until sometime in November, and then it'll start to get cold. And then, of course, winter will be here and snow and all of that.
Right.
Does it get quite bad with the snow?
Over the years, it actually has not been that bad. I think it's because of global warming, but we don't get snowstorms like we used to get.
Yeah.
How about there?
Well, we're getting a lot of floods at the moment in Britain. So,
we are. I mean, they're actually saying we've got to be more resilient because it's part and parcel of global warming. Although we obviously have to do something to slow things down, floods and things like that are just is part of the cause, which is a shame, isn't it?
It is a shame. And what's the petrol situation over there? Has it gotten any better?
In my area, it's still quite bad. It seems it's London. It's hit London, hasn't it? I know people that live in the north, and it's absolutely fine. So I don't know what's going on. Not sure. How about for you? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm not really going anywhere. So the car sits on the driveway. It's hardly ever moving. So.
Yeah.
I think we're having a typically British afternoon because a British American afternoon because in reality talking about the weather is very British.
Yeah, I know. We stop now. We stop. I'm going to actually start with something which tickled me slightly because I'm always looking at different things, and I've got friends that are doing different things job-wise because their work's been impacted. But the new thing to do at the moment is it's professional queuing, which is a job title. I know it sounds bizarre. So in London, people are charging £21.35. I don't know how they've worked that out. To literally queue for and on behalf of people who just can't be bothered to queue or don't want to be sort of in the COVID situation. So there you go. But actually, that's not so bad, is it? £21.35 an hour. Because if you can...
Helena?
Yeah?
So for those who don't know, what is queuing?
Oh, queuing is, when you have to wait in a line and you're waiting for something, whether you're waiting for your visa, it takes a long time because you have to queue, especially in Britain, UK, people are very polite and you stand behind each other and you wait your turn. So lots of people cannot be bothered to queue these days. So they employ professional queuers. So it's a new job and you can charge £21.35. But I was actually thinking, that's not so bad because you could in fact work while you're queuing. So it's one of those quite clever things, isn't it? Tripling in the money.
I think it might be necessary soon, Dr. Jacalyn, because the way the price of food is going at the moment, we'll all be queuing. We've got so many shortages now. And now they're saying that all our ports are so full of containers that Christmas might be cancelled this year.
Oh gosh.
I actually saw that. I saw the same thing over here. The question I have is, let's say you hire someone to queue for you, and then there's documents that need to be signed. What does the queuer then contact you and you come running in at the last minute and switch places?
That's the
I
concept.
imagine. Yeah, I think that's right. That's visas, but there'll be other things as well, like, I don't know, theatre tickets, and other queuing situations, which is pretty good.
It could happen because years ago when I went to Russia, and there was always a queue outside the Russian embassy, and you could be queuing for 6 hours waiting for your turn to go into the embassy to get your visa. And in the end, I suddenly discovered that there was a different way of doing it, which saved a lot of time as well.
That's you cheating, is it? Jumping the queue, as you did.
You know, it's funny, you're talking about that, something important that people would queue for. But here in the States, when it comes to the day after Thanksgiving, and they call that Black Friday, people are at the department stores, like in the parking lot from the night before, queuing up with tents and chairs, waiting to get this special deal. So it'll be interesting to see, not only with COVID, but with the container issue, how are those goods getting from other countries over to here for people to buy toys and whatnot?
Absolutely.
Well, this is it. And so apparently what they are saying now in Britain is put your order in early in order to get your Christmas present. So, Dr. Jacalyn.
I'm very happy to say that we in our family over the last couple years, we decided that our gift was the gift of being together, so that we don't have that pressure about buying the gifts anymore.
I think that's perfect. You know, we all really have too much, don't we? We don't need it. It's always good to give to others. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Anyway, I'm going to move on now. So we have seen Her Majesty the Queen, majestic in blue. She attended Thanksgiving yesterday. It was a service at Westminster Abbey, and that was to mark 100 years of the Royal British Legion. And the Royal British Legion obviously provide vital support for the armed forces community, so they are much needed. And she was seen with Princess Anne, obviously, which is great because Princess Anne now is going to all the functions with her. It's amazing that she, actually gets there. But she was seen with a walking stick. And she's not been seen with a walking stick for a while. People have said it's the first time she's been seen with a walking stick, but in fact it's not. It is the third time. But they're saying there's nothing wrong with Her Majesty, that it's just obviously for comfort that she had it. There's nothing wrong with a walking stick. I mean, goodness me, she's 95. Come on, guys. But no, she looked absolutely fabulous. Really, really fabulous. So it was great to see her out and about. And also something else that is, talking about climate change and everything. So the UK British soaps, it's sort of going down in history that the soaps and dramas are helping combat climate change. And we have something like 5 soaps and a few dramas as well. So there's new storylines actually being introduced to get people talking and to actually get people to take action. So for the everyday person, but it's really, really clever, because it's the world's first crossover. So you've actually got different characters from each soap sort of entering into their other soaps. And it's just going to create one big conversation. It's interesting how these people are going into their rival soaps, which is good fun. But yeah, I think that's really clever. So that's just about to happen. And of course, we have got, I think next week in Glasgow. Is it Glasgow? We've got the EU, the conference going on where everyone's discussing climate change. So the synergy is pretty good.
That's fascinating. Wow, so much going on over there. When you spoke about the Queen's age, it made me think of something that I read in the news. Are you familiar with Star Trek?
Absolutely.
Oh, William Shatner.
William Shatner, yes. He's about to go up in space at age 90.
he's just about to blast off in a minute. I've been watching it on.
Yeah, he's got it on his phone, but it's off now. He keeps looking. But it's quite exciting, isn't it? 90 years old. I can't believe he's 90.
And he's supposed to be. I was listening to one of his friends this morning who was doing an interview on British television. And he's supposed to be quite an adventurer in his own right. He likes to sort of do things that are unusual. And so I just, I mean, when I listen to things like this, I'm not 70 now, I'm 70 and a bit now. And I'm thinking, well, I've got another 20 years, you know, I might be we might be doing an item from outer space sometime. Who knows?
That's a lot, isn't it?
You know, something that you were just touching on, I think is really important. I noticed since I started broadcasting, many of the people I interact with on a regular basis are 70 and older. And I think that is absolutely fantastic that people are maybe coming into a new chapter of their life instead of how it used to be when people retire and they're playing golf or they're going fishing. People are finding a new purpose. And I really support that.
And I see you've got a new show as well for the over 70. So that sounds great as well. You know, I think people of my age have got a lot to offer still. We've got a lot of experience. I think we can keep pretty calm in situations as well. And so well done you for doing a new show, you know, for older people at the same time. I should be an avid listener.
Yeah,
hopefully there'll be tips on how to lose weight but still eat cakes. You know.
Well, you know who our first guest is today, yes?
Absolutely.
Simon McDonald.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That. Oh, good.
He's
Just whisper in my ear, Jacalyn. Is he over 70?
Must be to be on the show. It's a show for over 70s.
I'll share this. He did post that he's 70. I think he did write as a 70-year-old or something like that. So I wasn't going to ask him his age, but he did volunteer it. And our co-host, I actually interviewed him. His name is Fred. I interviewed him a few weeks ago. He's 76, and he is a keynote speaker. And he goes to a lot of senior living facilities, and he motivates people to get out there and keep going. So I thought this guy's got something, and I really want to encourage seniors to get more involved and to step out into the light.
I think that's fabulous. Well done. Congratulations. Look forward
Thank
to
you.
it. I think that will be a success, definitely.
It's very exciting. Thank you. Any more news that you have, or I'd love to talk about your show, what you're doing.
Well, I'm just going to hit on something very small. It was just so Eugenie's husband. So Eugenie is Fergie's daughter. So her husband is Jack Brooksbank, and he was talking recently, suggesting about a tunnel underneath St James's Palace, which connects with Duke's Bar. And Duke's Bar it's within an exclusive the Duke's Hotel in Mayfair. It's really well known, and I know it's had a write-up, in fact, in the New York Post, because their martinis are one of the best. But I mean, I didn't know about this, and it is a bit, you know, hearsay. But I think we'll probably find out whether it's true, because I think actually it makes sense. The St James's Palace, there is a line that goes underneath, because we have 4 million kilometres of tunnels under London. That's what it says in the Land Registry. So there's all these little nooks and crannies and little, you know, little escape routes and various things. But it just tickled me, because I just imagined the royal family, you know, in a little train underneath St James's Palace, going to have martinis in the hotel. But I just want to that's true. It's just a funny thing.
You just want to try the martinis.
Well, I do want to try the martinis too, but I want to know, and we need to find, we've got our sources, we need to just double check.
I was going to ask if you both are martini drinkers.
I'm not really. I have to say, when I was younger, as in very young, I think it was probably the first drink that I tried when I was I don't even think I was a teenager. It's really naughty, and I thought you used to have to drink it like a fruit juice or something. So you can imagine I got quite ill on it. And I remember it was called Fox Hunter. No, sorry, I take it back. I've made a complete, no, it was sherry. So no, I didn't have martinis when I was this high. I think I do like martinis. You can have the ones which are called.
She hasn't had one this afternoon.
Okay, I was wondering there. No, I'm kidding.
We're wandering off.
I'm not so great with my drinks. I like the ones where they taste of coffee. There's a certain name? Do you know what?
Espresso martini?
Yeah, that's it. I love an espresso martini. Yeah. Do you?
I don't drink martinis. The only time I remember having martini, I went to a restaurant that's fairly well known. I think they're out of business now. That was called the Palm, and they have people's pictures all over the walls. And anyway, I met a friend. She said, "Why don't we have a martini?" So I had two, and I don't remember anything after that. And that was the end. I said, "That's kind of like a sign that you should not be drinking that." So that was the end.
Yeah. There's lots of other lovely ones, but we've got loads of news. But we also got a fabulous guest that's going to be coming on shortly, which I look forward to. She's a singer, actor, and writer. Her name is Oriel Britton, and she brings art to the community, and she is an absolutely fabulous person. There's a lot more to her. In fact, I was introduced to her by a friend of mine who happened to be feeling a little flat one day, and she went out for a walk and she bumped into Oriel, who was performing, and she made my friend feel absolutely euphoric. It really cheered her up, and that is, what Oriel gives to people, which is very, very special. And she gives joy to people every day, and she is full of that fizz. She is full of fizz, full of energy. Her cup is half full, and I applaud her. I absolutely do. Sorry, I'm going on a little bit, but I really do think she's a fabulous person, and she will be coming on shortly.
All right, let's say we bring her on now since she's been backstage for a while. How do you feel?
Absolutely.
I say, yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Great to bring her on.
Welcome to the program.
Hi, Oriel.
Thank you very much for having me on air. Thank you very much. I hope you can see and hear this all right.
We can. Now, what I want to say about Oriel is, obviously, you heard your introduction. You are fabulous. I mean, she's a great singer, performer. She's got lots more to her. But she is also blind. She's been blind since the age of 7, I believe, and also
Correct.
is partially deaf. But she does not let this get in the way of anything. And in fact, I would say, Oriel, you're probably more active than a lot of my friends who should be going out and about and really living their lives. So I'm full of admiration for you.
Well, thank you so much for that. Perhaps you haven't seen me on a day when I just want to do a sleep or have a lie in or whatever, but thank you so much for that.
You're my type of girl, Oriel.
Yeah.
Oriel,
Thank you.
I know you have been a successful self-employed soprano singer since 2004. When did you realize you had this passion for singing?
So I always enjoyed singing. I was in choirs for about 25 years when I was young, because I'm not that young now. And but I felt in some, but by no means all, of the choral settings I was in, that my skills and talents were not appreciated, and I wanted to kind of sing. So I felt that I had something to teach the world about how I was as capable as any of these other people who were being asked. And so after I graduated, I had very little money. I was living in this tiny flat on benefits and things, and I just used to put my money together, and I bought singing lessons, and I did these diplomas in performance by distance from the London College of Music, and I would go to examination centres to take the exams.
Oh,
that's fascinating. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
thanks, Oriel. And I know that you've performed at some lovely events in great locations like the Royal Albert Hall and Clarence House. But the one thing that excites me is that you regularly travel and perform as a busker. which I find quite exciting. And it is part of the Transport for London, so the TfL London Underground Licensed Entertainment Scheme. I don't know very much about it, so I'm really, really interested in it. Are you able to tell us a little bit about the scheme and how you got into busking?
Yes, so I became a musician and jack of all arts, a self-employed, because I was doing music before, a self-employed musician and jack of all arts on the 13th of May 2004. I was busking quite a lot in the southwest near here, and I still do some of that in local cities such as Bath and places and in shopping centres. But on the 25th of September 2007, I did my first ever underground pitch. And I should say, I've always regarded the London Underground as a brilliant place. Since I was a small child, I've always found it a thoroughly exciting place and a world of adventure. And I'm very grateful to Transport for London for keeping the entertainment scheme on, because you can only imagine how clobbered the tube has been by the pandemic. And so it's to their credit that they have retained it. And I thought to begin with, I would use being a member of the scheme just if I happen to be passing through London, which I sometimes am. But then I decided it was much better to be more dedicated to it and to come up twice a week, which I did from January 2008. So I would traditionally do 2 pitches a day, a 12 till 2 and a 4 till 6. So entertaining the lunchtime crowd and the commuters, sadly, who we have not got. And the license scheme, the day is basically broken into, I would say, about several 2-hour slots. And most of the entertainers would book these via a website on Tuesday morning, 2 weeks in advance. So this week, on the 12th of October, they booked for the week commencing the 25th. I and some of the other disabled buskers have some reserved pitches already if we would find using the website difficult on a Tuesday morning. I also have funding for an assistant. I have a government grant for a thing called a support worker, who is the eyes on the job, and he helps me to sign in at stations, locate the singing pitch. He helps me. I think the internet connection's gone a bit funny, but
no, you're back. You're here. We're listening. We're all ears. Oriel, it's great. It's great.
Thank you so much. So he helps me locate my lunch and things. So he, like myself, is self-employed, and the government will fund him, but he has to invoice me for his hours, and I pay him. But I can only take on someone for this work who has a unique tax reference and who is doing their tax return. So they will only pay for someone who is an official self-employed person.
I'm really pleased to hear that you have someone help you, Oriel, because I have to say, I was wondering how you keep yourself safe when you're travelling into London. I mean, obviously, if you've got someone with you, that's great help, and Transport for London are sort of helping you with that.
No, I take on my own person, but the busking team, the people who organise it, very helpfully did circulate my advert on one or two occasions to all the other licensed entertainers. Normally, they would only circulate kind of ads about music jobs or something which conform with the Musicians Union national gig rate, but they felt this was a different type of work, so they would let this through. My favourite pitches, which I think you also wanted to know about, were Oxford Circus and Green Park 1, those classic acoustic pitches. I like Hammersmith, it's not come back yet. And also Angel. Mask wearing is compulsory for entertainers in the underground, and we've also had and we also don't have rush hour pitches back yet. Some of the pitches are back, some of them are not. Some of the entertainers are back, some of them are not, and we're not allowed rush hour pitches currently.
Oriel, I know that you're travelling from Bristol to London. And obviously the costs have gone up. Has that affected you? But I also ask at the same time, what's the better audience, Bristol or London?
They will be different. London, possibly. People are people wherever they are, but there are more of them in London and lots of international people. Mind you, there are around here. Yes, the hike in rail fares has affected me. What I do is to buy in advance off peak, and I get a third off with my rail card. However, the price rises and the lack of advanced is quite a big problem for people. And I get quite a lot of people complaining to me that they can't afford the fares. I can offset them as an allowable expense because I'm traveling to earn a living. Not everybody can. And there is something a bit wrong with a country where the public are subsidizing the railways through their taxes, but many people can't afford to travel on that same network. And I have pleaded with the management in vain, saying, lower the prices, support the economy that supported you, get the people back, even if then you raise them again, get the people back, especially the business traveller. We can't keep going with half-empty trains going around. It's better to have a low fare customer than a no fare customer.
I love your passion about that. That's fantastic. And I'm wondering, can you tell us about a few of the pitches in London and how they vary?
So what I have to do for my tea time shift is I've been having to do my own thing, which is sing outside. And I've been singing on Westminster license. I've got a Westminster Council singing entertainment license. And I also sing in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea in singing zones, because you can't go 2 meters outside the singing zone, my dear. And so I would sing maybe Oxford Street. It's quite challenging. You'll be singing in the middle of a circle. There'll be a lot of noise. There'll be buses. There'll be sirens. There'll be a few shoppers. We could do with some more shoppers. Someone will be kind of demolishing a department store in the background. Also, it's been brilliant. It's been very challenging. I've had some times, I have to tell you, when I was worried about I might be stabbed or something, or when I've also been surrounded by people who are frankly a front for drugs. But I've also had some good experiences. As you alluded to earlier, I wouldn't be on this show if I hadn't met someone who, when I was out singing at Earl's Court, and I gave her some literature. Earl's Court is my go-to place if it rains. There was one pitch at near Regent Street, and it had some particularly territorial pigeons. And the public must have thought, what the hell is wrong with that woman? She was singing so beautifully a few minutes ago, and now she is clapping her hands and shouting and banging the ground. And I was trying to scare off these pigeons, basically.
Oh, that's funny. So you sort of answered it in a way, but what do you enjoy about busking, Oriel? What does it give you?
I obviously like the music, and I like earning a living. I would rather sing in the sewer, quite honestly, than just live all my life on kind of welfare and lying in bed all day. I like to lie in occasionally, but yeah, I'd rather be doing something to earn a living. So, but what a lot of it's about is bringing music to the community, bringing the arts to people at any price which they can afford. And when I was at home in the lockdowns, I was working on writing, and I'll tell you about that in a second. And this was all very well, but you were essentially isolated, not getting the interaction with the people. Most of the feedback is good. Some people take the mickey, occasionally young people, but it's best to try and not retaliate. It's best to just rise above and ignore that, I think. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And now, Oriel, obviously you meet interesting people. I quite agree with you about the pigeons. I think we have kamikaze pigeons in London. They don't seem to sort of be scared of any traffic at all. And a number of times recently, when I'm using a bus, and in the bus lane are these pigeons, and I shoo the pigeons away because I'm so afraid that one's going to get crushed under a bus. Anyway,
I shouldn't worry about that. Think of Tom Lehrer. I've now made myself very unpopular with half this audience. Yeah. There are some standout kind of characters who I've met. I meet people from all over the world about my daily life. There was one gentleman who I saw in June. I saw him a couple of times in the summer, and I was singing at South Kensington, and he came up and introduced himself as being connected with the flower stall. And he said, "My name's Andrew," he said. "I'm a violent man," he said, "very violent. If you get any trouble with anybody, they'll have me to answer to." And I tried to persuade him to not get into any trouble on my account and to pursue the paths of peace. But he wasn't all that interested in doing that. I saw him a couple of times and I haven't seen him since. So I sometimes wonder where he is now.
Oh my gosh. So I was wondering if you can tell us about your repertoire, and I know we have a fabulous clip that we're going to be showing right after that.
Okay, so mostly traditional songs. I do some piano as well, which I'll be introducing in the next few years, and that's kind of classical. But for my busking repertoire, it's traditional songs, your Danny Boy, your Scarborough Fair, Sally Gardens, songs from all over the British Isles, the UK and Ireland, and also from other places if we've adopted songs.
Thank you. And before we play this clip, is there anything that you or Helen or Ian you want to share with our audience?
I just really want, it's just, I think, Oriel, you sing a cappella, don't you? So you haven't got backing tracks when you're singing, which I find fascinating, because really, if you think about busking and being in London, it's awfully bustly, and there's you singing and just using your voice sort of, in the underground, which is admirable. That's really what I was thinking.
So no backing track, no amplifier, it's just stand up and go. And what I sort of enjoy the buzz of it all. We sometimes get annoyances on the way, people not looking where they're going, making a noise in the quiet carriage. Guys, you've got eyes, you can use them, you can read. As I say, no amp or whatever. One thing I always try to do is to say thank you to the customers. Now, sadly, manners have declined in the United Kingdom, and that is something we could turn around, because please and thank you are free. So I always try to say thank you if they put coins in, thank you very much if it's a note, and if it's the card reader, thank goodness that's worked probably. However, sometimes because notes make no noise, once people put notes in and I don't hear, so I don't know they've gone in, so they've gone off unthanked, and for that I sincerely apologize. So if you've put a note in and I haven't said thank you, I do sincerely apologize. It's because I haven't heard it, whereas if it were £2.50 or something, I would have heard that.
Oriel, I'm sure people will let you off, goodness, because they'll enjoy your singing. So we have a clip now of you singing a cappella. It's a quick clip that I think was taken when you were stood in the underground. I believe it's Oh Danny Boy, but please don't hold it against me if it's not. I should have written down what the song was, but I'm pretty sure it is. So it would be good to, I think, play it, Dr. Jacalyn.
Here we go.
Oh Danny Boy, the pipes are calling, from glen to glen and down the mountain side. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go.
sounded a bit better than I thought it would. So that was some years ago as well. So that's great. Thank you for that.
Oh, we think it's absolutely lovely.
Beautiful.
Well done. I imagine myself in that situation, and yeah, I think it's great. I don't think I do too well at all, but then I am not a singer, so there you go. How do you feel when you sing? How does it make you feel, sort of inside? But also, how many songs have you got that you sing?
So I always enjoy the singing, even when there have been quite a few difficulties, say, on the way. At the moment, there are over 100 songs on the regular song list.
Gosh.
It is quite important if you're a singer to sort of, keep your voice in good order. And so I've done it, we've all done it, but don't sing with a sore throat, okay? Especially quite a bad sore throat. I've got away with it. I once knew someone who didn't get away with it. It ruined her whole career. Don't be so desperate for the money that you decide to sing with a sore throat. You will lose more in the long run, okay? Try to warm up if possible. So, and training, support the voice. Don't start the note with a glottal. So, not with that kind of hard edge at the beginning of the note. Come onto it soft. And some people who I've sung with before just have the volume permanently set to loud. Don't do that. Just don't have this kind of all-purpose mezzo forte going on all the time. It's not very musical. So don't always be belting it out. Fortunately, the folk songs and things I sing are well within a comfortable range. We're not talking like Wagner opera here. Yeah. I like taking exercise. I have a home running machine. This is brilliant. Home exercise equipment is brilliant for blind people. Eat well. Try and get more sleep than I do before your performances. Definitely don't smoke if you want to be a singer. Sorry, but you really shouldn't do that if you're going to be a singer. And try not to drink too much, and don't take drugs. It'll ruin your health and your finances.
That sounds very moralistic, Oriel. But can I ask as well? Do you practice? I get a feeling you're a secret singing in the shower person. Do you sing in the shower as well, or is it just really for paying people?
I have to do some practice, obviously. I sing so much when I'm out and about that for a day or two I don't practice. During lockdowns, I was working quite a lot on trying to learn a lot of Hildegard of Bingen chants, and they're almost unmemorable. Incidentally, if you want to hear more music, YouTube, MySpace, and Number One Music have loads of free music on, well, some free music on, which you can tap into and enjoy at home.
Thank you so much. And in addition to this fabulous voice that you have, this gift that you're giving to everyone, I understand that you are also a published author. And during this pandemic, you really threw yourself into writing. So can you tell us more about this?
So, just three quick things. So in 2015, I've been a writer for a long time. But in 2015, I published a short story. It's a short story for everybody for Christmas. It's called Santa's Message. The good thing about this book is it is short, okay? I have hard copies, but the easiest way for people to get this book is by ebook. So if you type Santa's Message ebook into a search engine, you should find that it comes up with some available sources. I've seen prices such as £2.99, $4.94. What we need is for the sellers of ebooks to lower the cost. Give us a Christmas promotion. Give us a better deal for the customer on this book, please. So because with ebooks, there are no printing costs, there's no shipping costs, there's no kind of warehousing costs. So yes, go and have a look at that. It might even be possible to read it free online. I was recently called not a published author by someone at a literary festival, so I'm quite keen to set the record straight on that by shifting a load of copies of Santa's Message. I'm also working on something called the Testimonies of Love, which is a fiction. It's a fiction book, but it's well researched. Well, it is researched, anyway, well researched. It's the New Testament characters in their own words. And it's 7 short stories from the point of view of people usually who don't have their own gospel or something. So Joseph, the father of Jesus, the innkeeper, you know, the one who said there was no room at the inn. And there's one called the bystander, which is a random Roman citizen who just happened to be about at some crucial points there. But I thought we'd start, with the big one. So I thought we'd start fairly controversially with Judas. And the last thing I'm working on is a novel which I started in lockdown. Lockdowns were very difficult for entertainment and people, but people in the arts can always make good use of their time. So the silver lining was I was able to work on a novel, and I'd been thinking of doing this for a long time, but hadn't really had the time or space to do the research. So I started work on an ambitious science fiction novel about a girl who goes off and has a great adventure in space. That will be some years before that's ready, because I've had to learn. That's been quite a steep learning curve, doing the learning for that.
Congratulations on all of that accomplishment. That's amazing.
It's so creative, Oriel. It's wonderful. And I also know you give poetry recitals, which is fabulous. But you also compose and supply poetry gold, and that's a text service, which I think is really entrepreneurial. I don't know when you started this, but are you able to share a little bit more about the service?
So the poetry recitals, I've done lots of them over the years. I got the idea from doing drama competitions, actually. And the lady kept saying one day when I was in one, well, if you did this in a recital, I thought, I'd never thought of doing a recital of anything that wasn't itself music. So I do these poetry recitals, and the latest one is Robert Burns, and that has ended up on YouTube. Well, it was purposefully put on YouTube. So if you type in Robert Burns poetry recital by Oriel Britton, hopefully you should find that. Poetry Gold is again another lockdown innovation. I wanted something that would be kind of pandemic proof if this disaster ever happened again. And so I invented this daily poetry text service, and about 7:45 to 8 every morning, except for when it's late, a short poetry text. It's a haiku, basically. It's 3 lines of a poem. It's a 3-line poem. Arrives in my customer's text messaging inbox at that time of the day, first in about 7:45 to 8 in the morning. And it goes out on every business day, except for weekends and bank holidays, as observed in England. And there is no fixed price. It's all done by text messages. So there's no fixed price. People pay whatever they can afford or whatever they think the service is worth. What I wanted to do, I didn't want to have a billing department. I thought, be realistic. People have had an economic disaster thrown into their lives. They're paying the rent and the mortgage, the nursery fees. With all due respect, they haven't got money to set aside for paying for poetry. So at least for the first year, I thought, just charge them whatever, just let them pay whatever they want and see how that goes. And I decided to stick with that. And I didn't want to kind of be going, dear half sister, here is your monthly invoice for Poetry Gold, dear mum, your bill is now due. I didn't want to have a billing department. So if you would like to try Poetry Gold, unfortunately, I can only accept contributions for that in pounds at the moment, but pounds sterling. But if you want to try that, please text sample to the mobile number on your screen, and I will give you that now. It is 0796 9215932. 0044 if you're outside the United Kingdom, 796 921 5932. And that's a kind of reflective thought at the beginning of each day.
That's fabulous. That's really great. Thanks for sharing that. I still think it's a fabulous idea.
I agree with you. And we're going to create a banner with that number so that people can have that. So, and the word was sample. Text the word sample, you said, to that number?
Sample, yes.
Fantastic. You have such a great attitude. You're really a go-getter. And I'm wondering, is there anything further that you would like to do or achieve with everything you've already accomplished?
So, yes. One thing that's important to me is the Christmas charity singing. So 11 months of the year I sing for myself, and the final month of the year I sing for the charity Christian Aid. I do the carol singing. I do several carol singing busks throughout December for Christian Aid, which is an organization which saves lives, and it works in the poorest part of the world, alleviating famine, poverty and suffering, and it does disaster relief, though it's cheaper and better to try and prevent disasters, but if they happen, they have to be dealt with. And it really means a lot to me doing that. It's the icing on the cake as the singing year. However, were it not for kind of 11 months of capitalism, it would not be possible to do 1 month of philanthropic singing. But it really does mean a lot to me to do that. I quite like the name as the organization. It is the kind of icing on the cake. But we are looking for more places to sing indoors. I'm now sort of facing my tea time pitches outside in London are going to be under the cover of darkness because the nights are drawing in, which I like, and the clocks are about to go back. So we are looking for venues to do singing indoors if it's a shopping centre, particularly for the carol singing. I've got the right kind of insurance you need, so please drop me an email about that. It's oriel.britton@gmail.com. I think if I had a strap line, it would be kind of saving lives in the present and justice for lives lost in the past. So I like to do the Christian Aid carol singing, and there's some other medical volunteering I do, which I hope saves lives in the present. And I want to see peace and justice, and probably, but I wouldn't say no to more singing appearances, especially great concerts or singing for people in very strange and interesting locations, and basically widening access to music.
Oh, that's fabulous. Oh, I love that. We'll keep our ears open. I think we'll be able to perform in some wonderful places. I know that you have a poem that you're going to share with us, which is lovely. Now, this poem that you're going to do is a poem close to your heart. You wrote it, I thought, at the tail of COVID, I think. I don't think you were quite in lockdown when you wrote it. It resonates with the current climate, and it's really about, we have to be kind to our planet, to our animals, to everything, and in turn our planet will be kind to us. But I'm going to hand it over to Oriel to do what you do best, and we're really looking forward to hearing it.
So yes, I got more into writing poems again in lockdown, but this one, yes, I think I had the original idea in the lockdown and I finished it afterwards. This is called If Only They Could Talk. And I will just prepare yourself. This is not, this isn't all of it is not an easy listen. This is If Only They Could Talk. The tiger was a wild beast, not known for peace and calm. But did they spare his feelings when they turned him into balm? Do they give the songbirds warning when they shoot them on the wing? Does the trophy hunter ever think to spare the leopard king? When the poacher seize mum's ivory, do they hear her babies cry? Do the people see her blood inscribed on trinkets that they buy? Did the tuna fish fight bravely against the drift nets in the sea? Did we hear his protestations when they tinned him for our tea? Did the cod and haddock care in whose waters they were caught? Did they mind who owned the boat that shipped them, dead in ice, to port? We cannot blame the bat who passed on the COVID plague. Our scaly friends, the pangolins, can't appeal to The Hague. Orangutans owned this forest till we burned it down for oil. I hope you like the soaps I sent, the first fruits of our soil. Those burgers we ate yesterday were reared indoors on sand. That lamb's leg in my oven used to run free on this land. I'm glad you liked the birthday cake, though the eggs used weren't free range. Thank God the fox that used to raid the bins has died of mange. I cursed the bee that stung me, though it did me little harm. Of course, we've killed them all with pesticides on our monoculture farm. If the beasts pulled out your teeth and hair and nails just for fun, if they shot you dead for sport with a double-barreled gun, if they ransacked all your houses and killed your young by night, would you want the world to take notice, care, take action at your plight? A lioness won't spare you if you trespass near her cubs, and if you end up deep beneath the waves, you'll be the mackerel's gourmet pub. If you were a bee, would you still help us grow food? If you were an elephant, could you someday think us good? If you were a hurricane, would you spare us one last glance? If you were a bushfire, would you grant us a final chance? If you were the ice cap, could you ever us forgive? If you were the Amazon, should you deign to let us live?
So good, Oriel. And what's so lovely about it, one, you presented that beautifully, thank you. It's really impact, isn't it? And I think it gets people thinking and it gets people talking. It's always, I mentioned earlier about the soaps introducing a new environmental approach to programs coming up. And again, that's to get people talking and thinking, and everyone needs to change their approach. Make a better world, and the world will look after us. So thank you for that. That was lovely. It's beautiful.
Yes, I mean, if we all do something, I mean, let's not be too puritanical about it, but if we all do something, at least we can try. Thank you so much for having me on this show today. I know I've talked an awful lot, but the great thing, you might have heard rustling, and the great thing about using Braille is that you can secretly read from notes under the table. So I was reading my own poem. I hadn't actually fully memorized it. So, so I advise all your listeners, viewers, learn Braille, because then you can secretly read with the lights off.
Well, Oriel, we all have secrets under the table. Our ones are biscuits, I think. But that's another story altogether. But how important is it? You're talking about all these different aspects of conservation, environmentalism as well. How important is that also in connection with your charity work? How important are the charities to you? Do you try to create more poetry relating to the charities as well?
I think this is the only environmental poem I've done. Poetry Gold is often quite environmental. There was one the other day that went out. It's something like bricks for butterflies, tarmac for tigers, concrete for coral, our loss. That was the sum total of that was Poetry Gold the other day. Some of it's quite a lot more rubbishy than that. Incidentally, the only way I've found of ever making a living in the arts was basically to be able to keep churning out, even if it isn't brilliant, to keep producing. But, and I can't remember the question you've asked now, but no, I think the environment and some of the charities I hear from, and some of the work Christian Aid does will be affected by climate change. They will see communities who are on frankly, the sharp end. I get quite a lot of stuff from Tier Fund over the internet. I haven't had a chance to support them yet, but I get quite a lot of stuff from Tier Fund. And they see people who are working on rubbish dumps and all the dumped plastic from the West and all sorts of things. They see people who are living the daily reality of all this, and it is a problem. They say that if we don't do something about climate change, it is said that it will throw the migration crises we have across the world now into that will make what we have now look like a storm in a teacup, because so many people will be displaced. It is a massive problem, but we can only do what we can do.
Thank you for those words, Oriel. You're very wise, you're very bright. It's been so lovely having you on the show.
Well, thank you so much for letting me come on. I was just really worried that the computers wouldn't work. That's been my biggest kind of, will the computers work? Will this all go wrong at the last minute? But yes, Helena and I have spent so much time kind of trying to position iPhones on music stands and all sorts of things. I live in a council flat, which I was lucky to get. It was a big gamble. I was being made homeless at the time. But it was a big gamble because the previous person hadn't moved out, and I also hadn't looked at it. It came up just before Christmas one year, and there was a very good housing manager. I had this big court case with my former landlord, and I was being made homeless, and I'd say I was lucky to get this. But we have, if anybody does like drilling on the 9th floor in this block of flats, tower blocks are very good if they're well run. And if someone does like drilling on the 9th floor, it will reverberate. The concrete and steel wall will act like a resonator. And we all have these power showers and things, and the pipes kind of buzz, especially in the summer, because I think the metal expands more. And, we have fiber optic up to the cabinet in the street, but it's all old copper wire in the building. And just anything can happen. And we've spent so much, Helena and I have spent so much time with her patiently going, Oriel, can you position the computer a bit differently? Or can you? And then I discovered I couldn't open the link on the iPhone. So I'm very relieved that we can do this on the computer, really.
Exactly. Well, do you know what, Oriel? It's perfect. It's been very, very quiet. You've been incredibly clear. We can see there's been no buzzing or tapping or drilling or showers or anything going on. It's been really, really clear. And we have had lots of different guests, obviously, over the months, and there's been far worse connections. So this has worked really, really well. And I'm really pleased as well, because now you know that you can do this. You can do this on a regular.
Yes, now I can move the table and take the picture down and put the setup again. We've got a commemorative picture on the wall here, which I decided to take down. And it's don't broadcast that bit. And but I decided to take down and moving the table over to be between a fairly narrow bit of wall between two doors. And so no, that's all. And so yes, I can make this setup work again. But I once did when I was in the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence Citizens Council, we went on a training day about the media, and they said they often want people to sit on a sofa. The temptation is to slouch, so sit upright. So I'm on a wooden chair, which I could square with the wall. But I did also discover through doing this that putting iPhones on music stands is quite good. because you can have the wire running down between the two halves of the stand in the middle. I've got one of those cheap metal foldable stands, which I don't use very much. But you can have the wire running down the middle, and you can raise and lower the level of the stand. And of course, you can pivot the top, but you usually have to put books behind it to get the right angle of the phone. So Helena's had to be very patient, coping with the inadequacies of the elderly computer equipment around here.
Absolutely fine. It's brilliant. It's so good.
Thank you for that.
You entertained us. You are fabulous. I love your poems. I love your singing. And you must carry on cheering the whole world up, because we all need you.
Well, thank you for that. It takes a lot of energy, but we'll do the best we can and keep bringing music to people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you, and keep up the great work. You're obviously highly intelligent and talented, and you have a beautiful heart, and I just really appreciate the opportunity to meet you and learn about your work.
Thank you, and I wish you all well in the United States. Take care now.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Right.
Oops. Wow. That poem was amazing, wasn't it?
It's really good. I mean, she's got lots of poems. She's so creative and so full of energy. You know, she's always doing something. She's got that entrepreneurial spirit that I love. And just that whole, you know, she doesn't want to be on benefits and just sitting there and just racing about backwards and forwards. It's, you know, being up early and getting on the trains. And I think when you don't live in London as well, it's very different. It's very hustle bustle. You know, the people are different. So it's quite something to take yourself and throw yourself into that. Great admiration. And again, I think at the moment, people are being inspired, and Oriel's one of these people inspiring people to sort of make changes and work together and repair the planet. And I think that, you know, people, you know, poetry, singing, talking, you know, presenting, broadcasting, it just all is helping, you know, create a far better world. So yeah, I think I really enjoyed that, and I'm so pleased that she managed and it went very smoothly, which I'm thrilled about.
I must say this, when Helena told me that they got a person who can't see and can't hear, and I'm trying to work out how we're going to do an interview, but she's been fabulous, hasn't she, this afternoon? I mean,
she was terrific.
And well done, the two of you as well, you know, for bringing this together. It was a piece of magic this afternoon, I think, and sometimes, you know, people who've got a zest for life, they overcome all the issues and they still have a zest for life. And that's what this show is all about as well.
Absolutely. So for anybody out there who thinks whatever situation you have that there's no hope, I mean, look at what Auriel has overcome. It's amazing what she's done and how she put herself here today to bring more light into the world and to inspire other people. So I hope that people will come forth and realize that, as I always say, you're not alone. And there's people who want to hear your story. There are people who want to support you. And that's what we're all about here.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we are going to close out our show today. I have a meeting with the wonderful Mr. Philip Chan. So
Very good.
Oh, that's good.
Please
say hello.
I definitely will.
There was a very quick story where he put a piece on Facebook last night saying how he missed Roger Moore, and that he was trying to keep on meeting Roger Moore, and I don't think he remembered that he died, Roger Moore, in 2017. But so I was just wondering whether he was having some sort of opportunity of talking to the spirit world last night, just to see. But no doubt he will tell you all about it.
I did see your comment on the post, and I had a little chuckle. So, well, before we close out, would you like to share anything about the wonderful show that you have? That's I think there's some big event coming up. Yes.
Well, you are part of the Christmas show in London now that Helen and I are putting together. It's called Celebrate Great Britain News Show. and we are still putting things together as we speak right now. We normally leave it to about 1 hour before. No, we don't. I was going to say 1 hour before we think. No, we're more prepared than that. But I think this time it's all about showing how people can enjoy Britain and the British way of life at Christmas time. That's part of it this year. But also learning from you what Americans love about British Christmases as well. So put your thinking cap on, Dr. J. Put your thinking cap on.
I definitely will. It's very exciting. And thank you for including me. I feel very honored.
Well, yeah, we feel honored to be working with you as well. So there's a mutual appreciation.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again for being here. I'll see you backstage. We're just going to close out the show right now with our bumper and say goodbye to everybody right now. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.